All right, guys, we're gonna get into our next workout circuit here. Okay, so what we're gonna be starting with here is we're gonna be progressing a little bit from the deadlifts we were doing last week. Okay, so last week we were doing it with that med ball. What we want to think about here is we're gonna be using a kettlebell. We're gonna think about starting to increase that weight a little bit. Okay, we want to definitely start to increase a little bit of the tension there. So from here, we're gonna be focusing on really working on that hinge. Okay, so if you feel comfortable, if you guys are still working on the same hinge from last week, keep working on that, keep progressing that. If you're still, if that back's starting to round, anything like that, focus on the hinge. Okay, if you're ready to kind of step it up a little bit, we want to think about increasing the weight a bit. Okay, so from here, we're gonna make sure that those shoulders are gonna be nice and right over the weight as the hips come back. My shoulders are gonna stay nice and right over the weight here. Okay, we want to think about having the hips are pushing those feet into the ground as we bring those hips into the kettlebell here. So hips are gonna come back, back, back. My hands are gonna stay nice and straight. We're gonna think about the weight traveling in a nice straight line here. Okay, the hands should be nothing more than ropes. They are ropes with hooks at the bottom, so they stay nice and straight. Okay, we're gonna make sure that we don't lean back too far at the top. Okay, we don't want to go too far into that extension. We're thinking about really squeezing the glutes at the top, staying nice and straight, keeping those lats back. Okay. From there, what we're gonna be doing is an inline lift. Okay. So what we want to think about here is last time we were doing it from a half kneeling position. This time we're gonna be doing it in a standing position here, and we want to think about having our feet in line here. Okay. So we'll have that outside foot in line here. Okay. We want to think about having the feet nice and along that same line. Okay. From here, we're going to maintain that balance as we grab that band off from the side. We'll grab it from that inside fist. Okay. Outside leg forward here. And keeping that balance here, we're going across that midline. Same thing on the other side. Okay, then from there we'll go ahead and move on over here to our lateral bear crawls. Okay, so what we're going to be doing for this one today is we're going to be doing some bear crawls laterally. So what we want to do here is make sure that we end up on all fours here. Okay, we're going to lightly lift those feet up, and we're going to maintain this position here, keeping that nice flat back as we move to the side. Okay, what we're going to be doing today to kind of gauge us and make sure that we're doing it correctly is we're going to start with a cone and a ball on the back here, so that we maintain that nice flat back here. So we'll keep that bear crawl position here, and then from here we're going opposite arm, opposite leg, and moving at the same time. Just like that for the lateral bear. Okay, and that'll be your circuit. All right, guys, now we're gonna start with our second circuit here. So our first movement is gonna be our lateral squat. We're gonna be including a little bit of weight on this one, so we're adding a little bit of resistance here. So what we'll have here is we wanna have that med ball nice and right in the middle here. We'll have a nice wide stance here. Okay, a little bit past shoulder width apart. We still want to think about it as a squat, so I want you to think about bringing those hips back. Okay, making sure that knees traveling in the same direction as those toes, and then we're going to push that weight nice and right in front as we come down. Okay, think about it as a little bit of a counterbalance as you're bringing your hips back. So we'll be here, nice and knee right over that toe, comes right back, knee right over that toe. Bring those hips back. Just like that for those lateral med ball squats. And then from there, we're gonna be moving onto our alternating Z press. Okay, so what we wanna think about here is we wanna think about using a pretty light band to begin with here. You're not gonna be using too much resistance. One of the main things we wanna focus on here is really that core stability, that core strength here. So we're not gonna allow ourselves to lean back too much. Okay? We're gonna think about keeping a nice proud chest, keeping our body nice and upright. From here, we're gonna think about keeping those elbows close to the body here. And from here, we're not gonna let them flare out too far out. We're gonna think about traveling in a straight line, getting that bicep right next to the ear. We want to make sure that we maintain that nice proud chest. Don't let those shoulders start to cave in here. Nice proud chest. And straight up. Okay. Then from there, we'll move on to our banded pull aparts here. Again, here, you're going to want to use a relatively light band to start off with. What we want to think about here is making sure that our palms are going to be facing down, and we're aiming to put that band nice and right in the sternum here. So we're going to think about squeezing those shoulder blades in the back and making a nice T with the body. All right, guys, and that'll be your second circuit. All right, guys, for our final circuit today, our first movement, what we're gonna be doing is a bird dog row. Okay, so what we wanna think about again is really focusing on that core strength as we're working with a little bit of resistance, right? So we wanna think about here, we're gonna have our opposite leg nice and straight out with that same bird dog position. So we have that bird dog here before, where we're reaching out in front, reaching our leg back. Okay, this will be our starting position here with that foot in the back, that knee nice and right underneath the hip, hand right underneath the shoulder. From here, we should have the weight off to the side here. Okay, and then nice and controlled, we're thinking about bringing that elbow back and really contracting that lat. So we're here, nice and controlled. We want to think about making sure that we're focusing on quality over quantity, right? So we don't want to think about speed here. If we're starting to lose our balance, I don't want you to just jerk it up, right? We want to make sure that we keep that balance nice and strong. We keep our stability, and it's nice and controlled. Okay, from there, we're going to be moving on to our dead bugs here. So what we're going to be doing here is some banded dead bugs. We're gonna think about having our back nice and flat on the ground here. We'll have the band nice and right over the arches here. I wanna think about achieving 90 degrees here at the knees, making sure that those shins are gonna be nice and horizontal. Okay. From here, we'll have our arms nice and right in front of the shoulders here, making sure we're stacking those joints. And then from here, again, we're working opposite arm, opposite leg. I'll bring my right hand back, my left leg forward, making sure this leg does not move. We're resisting, nice and controlled. Keep that other hand right over that shoulder. We come back to our starting position. And then we switch. Nice and controlled. Think about it as if you're pointing that thumb to the ground. Just like that, guys. And then from there, we're going into some weighted goblet carries. So we'll be using that goblet or that kettlebell again here. What we want to think about here is anti-flexion. So we don't want to let that weight start to make us cave in here. Let those shoulders come forward. We're going to think about bringing that weight up, keeping it nice and right in front of the chin here. Okay, keeping that nice proud chest. And then as we're walking through, We're making sure we're walking on train tracks. We don't want to start letting those feet cross. We're keeping ourselves nice and strong here. Keeping ourselves nice and straight. Nice proud chest. We'll walk 20 yards here. Okay, and that'll be your third circuit.